Hey, SCA residents. This is just a intro and a brief bio about me. My name is Tanmay Shah, and I am really excited to be running to be the council member for the new Ward 12 for our city of Cleveland. This includes the neighborhoods of Edgewater, West Boulevard, Coudell, and Jefferson. I am a union organizer, a housing attorney, and a truck driver, and I'm running on a platform of affordable housing, affordable groceries, and reliable city services. I've actually been a resident of Cleveland for over 3 years. I've lived and owned my home here, and then I've gone to law school at Case, and then I did housing law. And before that, I did my undergrad at Kent State University, and I did my high school near Akron. So I've been in Northeast Ohio for 15 years and grown to love Cleveland. And before that, I actually moved here as an immigrant when I was 9 years old with my family from India. So I'm really proud of that as well. I think this is a really important question. From the first year of our campaign, we've been knocking doors, and we've consistently heard just traffic calming is something that's really important to people, and it's definitely included in our platform for reliable city services. We believe, I'm someone who actually really enjoys biking. I had two conditions for my realtor when I was looking for my house. One was within biking or walking distance to a red line station, and walking distance to a grocery store. And I'm really fortunate to be able to do that. And it's part of the reason why I live in a city is because I can bike or walk to places. If I wanted to drive everywhere, I would go live in the suburbs. And I want to make sure that our city reflects this priority. There's a whole bunch of things we can do, from speed bumps to putting smaller, bumps that you might have seen, like Lakewood has them, where cars are forced to turn a little bit when they're driving down the road. That can help slow down cars as well. That would increase pedestrian and biking safety. And I want to have more biking infrastructure along our main corridors like Lorraine, Madison, Franklin, because I believe, these are important corridors that people travel through, and we should have some infrastructure that protects bikers and prioritizes their right of way. This is not something we really have right now, and I believe we can do a lot more work on this, and this can be done in a year and doesn't require all that much city investment, and I would love to prioritize this. I'm really proud of the fact that, this is something we've really tried to put on the map. I am, as I said, an immigrant from India, and I've really been cognizant of the new immigrant waves that have been coming into our city and helping us grow as a community. Cleveland is actually a city that's been built and defined by immigrants, and I believe if we're going to grow, then we actually need to integrate these communities. And one of those ways is to recognize their contributions. And I absolutely believe Little Arabia should be better marketed and something that we should really highlight as a cultural attraction and an asset for our community. We've put this on our literature, we've put this on our ward map by labeling and recognizing what, neighbors have known for quite some time, just the rich diversity we have here. And I would continue doing this as a council member, and I will make sure to actually highlight it, build those relationships with our local business owners and community members, which I've already started doing. And I want to make sure we lean into that and are able to market this. I believe it should be right up there with Little Italy. We should also be talking about Little Arabia and all the amazing food, the grocery stores, and the assets we have here. Some of my favorite places are Assad's and Levant. Really good falafel. I'm vegetarian and really appreciate all the offerings they have. So those are just some of the things I would do to make sure that this is actually highlighted and elevated. I think it's an asset we absolutely should be doing. This is something we've actually talked about in our campaign quite often too. I'm running on an affordable housing, affordable groceries, and reliable city services platform. And this stems from the fact that, just costs are rising for so many of our neighbors. And if we want to make sure that Cleveland stays affordable and it stays a place where people want to raise their families, then we have to make sure we actually address this. One of the ways I would make sure we have more affordable housing is by using our tax abatements to actually create more affordable housing, not just luxury developments, but actual affordable housing. That's just one of the ways I want to make sure we increase protections for renters and hold landlords accountable This has been a job that the mayor hasn't done a great job at, and something that city council should be providing more accountability and follow through on. And I'm going to make sure I do that. As a former housing attorney, I actually used to work at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland as a housing attorney, and I represented tenants against low-income tenants against landlords, and I've had a track record of making sure I stand up to landlords. And there's things we can do. I want to create a landlord watchdog that makes sure that landlords are actually following codes and doing their responsibility. And I want to also encourage a citywide tenants union for making sure that we actually get a tenants movement that advocates for the things that tenants needs. This is something other cities are starting to do, and something cities in Europe have been doing for decades. We definitely can learn from that, because things are just not really great for renters right now, and we can do a lot more to step that up. I also want to make sure we can address affordable childcare. This is something else that's a big burden for people. Affordable groceries is something I've talked a lot about in my campaign as well, and I think there's steps we can take as a city that I want to start implementing, but it requires us to ask more from our government, not less. They're going to be, one of the first, I think, an important way we can improve how our elections are run in our city council elections is to eliminate what's known as the Council Leadership Fund. And this is a PAC that fundraises and is at the disposal of the council leadership. So that's the council president. And I believe this is something that protects incumbents every time there's an election, and it insulates them from challengers from being able to win in fair elections. And I believe this is something that's been forbidden at the national level, and we should also follow that model and disallow this practice of having the council leadership fund be available for incumbents to protect themselves. Another way I would like to pursue reform is changing the way we draw maps in city council elections. Right now, once again, it's heavily used to favor incumbents. We've seen the downsides of this in the elections in the way the map was drawn for Councilwoman Rebecca Maurer, who, as one of the only progressive people in council, was punished for her activism and for her willingness to stand up for her constituents. And her ward was split up into 6 different pieces. And this is because council gets to draw its own maps, and it shouldn't be that way. We should have an independent commission or somebody else who's actually drawing these maps, not council themselves. And the way they get to protect themselves is through this power. So I would eliminate that as well. And then finally, something that's important and close to my heart are community gardens. I'm a community gardener at my local community garden, San Diego Community Garden, and I would like to make it easier for people to set up their own community gardens on vacant city-owned lots. And this is something that's possible right now, but we can cut a lot of the red tape. Right now, it could take 1 to 2 years to set this up, but it shouldn't be that hard. And I would like to reform that process. All right, and this is the final question. It's a fun one, and it's what would my perfect day in our Ward 12 look like? And there's a lot of different options to do and a lot of different things to do. We have everything from the lake up north, of course, to many of our parks and rec centers. But I would probably start off with a coffee at Dahlia or Eagle Cafe. If you haven't been there, would definitely recommend. Great spots to get your cup of joe in the morning. And then after that, I'm a very food oriented person, so you'll probably get the trend that I'm following all the food spots. But I would love to grab breakfast or even lunch at either Assad's Levant Shawarma over on 117th and Lorraine, or even My Friends, a 24-hour joint that you might have stopped by, and really a fan of these places to get some falafel if you like those, or shawarma, and then. I also really like City Slice. If you haven't been, would definitely once again recommend big New York style slices that are delicious and all in the neighborhood. So I'd probably do that in the afternoon, either slice or falafel, and probably go for a walk or something relaxing by the lake, or one of our very cool streets up north or down south with fall leaves changing. Would really enjoy that, a walk outside. And then we'll end off with sunset down at Edgewater, and we'll do dinner at, let's see. Wow, I've really been partial to City Slice. I've been craving pizza a lot lately, so I'll end off with that one. So thanks a lot, y'all.